Finally. Finally. Yes, I know I'm sounding like The Rock, but finally. The Stanley Cup Playoffs have returned to the Canadian capital. I'm a little bit emotional about this because I've been fascinated with the Senators for years. And it's an interesting story because I remember I used to follow hockey when I was a kid. Only time I followed hockey was during the sports section. We brought it in the morning. I would go through the sports section. I would see all these scores. Okay, and of course I didn't know the concept of expansion teams at the time. But the Senators debuted in '92. I was 7 years old when the Senators debuted, and I looked at the standings, and they weren't very good. And by the time I kind of started watching the game in junior high, Senators were starting to get up there. They were in the Northeast Division, that 5-team Northeast Division. Remember, it was them, Montreal, Toronto, Boston, Buffalo. They started to get good, real good. I remember 03, 02, 03, which was the season I was a senior in high school that year. They actually were number one in the Eastern Conference, but a team called the New Jersey Devils were there. They were kind of the juggernaut, and the Sens couldn't get past them. They were in the conference final, but the Devils too much for them. And then 4 years later, they finally made the final. I went, wow, they're in the final. But the Ducks, it was their destiny that year. They were going that year. And they had their few good seasons, and of course, 2017, they had that crazy run. And they made it to the conference final against Pittsburgh, defending champions. Made it to Game 7. Went to double overtime. Now, they lost that game, but still, it was a great run, and I was wondering, where can they go from there? And then they make the trade for Matt Duchene. And that trade, good God, it was pretty much ended up being the worst thing that happened to them. Okay? It was a three-team deal. Senators, Avalanche, and Predators. Predators were coming out going to the final. And they won the President's Trophy that year. Following year. 17-18. Avs, 16-17, worst year ever. And then that trade, all of a sudden we stumble into a playoff spot and make it interesting. Nashville continued to be good. The Avs, the Avs went on, continued being a playoff team, and ended up winning the Stanley Cup in 22. Senators suffered. Terrible years, okay? And they gave their first round pick from 19 to the Avs. And in 18-19, they had the worst record of the conference, which meant that the Avs, who were one win away from the conference final, were in the lottery. The top prize was Jack Hughes. We didn't win that prize, but we got Bowen Bryant, which ended up being the next best thing. And he ended up being a key role in our cup run. Had 9 points in the 22 playoffs, all helpers. Of course, he's now in Buffalo. But in the years that passed, the good times were few and far between for the Senators and fans of that team. They were a punchline. Their seasons were just kaput. They just couldn't piece any good wins together. They were a mess. They were a horrible mess. And it just kept getting worse. And then this season happened. They found lightning in the bottle, but would they hold on to it? Because it was promised like the last couple years. And they had a good position entering the Four Nations break. They were the top three in the division, but they fell out of it. Even so, they were still in the wild card standings. And then they kept winning, and it looked like a foregone conclusion they would make it. And then we reached this day, April 8, 2025. They had a chance to clinch a spot in the playoffs. A win would do it. They did not get that win. but a Detroit loss would do it, and that happened. And I watched the rest of that game on, among other things, on the ESPN app. And there it was. The countdown was on, and the Senators made it. I am very, very happy for the Senators. I'm very happy for them. And it's about time they had something good. It's about time they had something good. First time in 8 years they made it. First time since they were this close to the final in 17 they made it. No matter what happens from here, it's a great year. Chances are they could be one and done, or they could make something out of it. Who knows? I mean, I see it happen in hockey all the time. But I'm very, very happy for the Senators. I'm almost getting emotional about it because they deserve a lot of good things because a black cloud's been hovering over that team ever since that trade was made. So seeing that this team is in the playoffs, it's going to be good. The Senators always make things interesting in the playoffs. They always do. Always do. I mean, look at their. I've seen some good runs. I remember, like I said, 03, number one in the East, made to the conference final. 07, made to the Cup final. 17, they almost make it to the Cup final. They almost made it to the Cup final. They almost dethroned Pittsburgh. Double overtime, Game 7. Whenever the Senators are in the playoffs, it's always interesting. I think this year will be no different. It'll be something to go on a mega run. But like I said, whatever happens after this, they have to be happy. So, congratulations, Senators! You made it, and I can't wait to see the Senators in the playoffs, especially if it's the Battle of Ontario. I want that so badly, and the emotion not only comes from here, but it also comes from the story I wrote on Vocal. The link's above, right there. Check it out. So that is my video. If you like this story, if you like this video, click the like button. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe for more. If you're on TikTok and Instagram, feel free to hit that follow button. And there's some scenarios from tomorrow. If they come true, I'll be back this time tomorrow for some more for some congratulations. And if it's a certain team that I think it is, it's gonna be an interesting video. So stay tuned for that if they clinch.